Live streaming is on.
Hello, Global Theater. My name is Jerry Fielka. Today is December 17, 2021. We want to thank Clinton Ignatoff of Concerned Medicine. Thank you so much, Clinton. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here with Wilson Oliveira. Tell me how to pronounce your last name, Wilson.
It's quite like that. Oliveira.
Oliveira. I'm trying. Okay,
From
Wilson.
it's from the olive tree.
Of the olive tree. I like that. Where are you calling from?
I'm from Rio. 5 minutes walking from the Maracanã Stadium.
And that's Brazil, right?
Yeah.
How cool is that? So, Wilson, the first question is, what is the best thing for a human being?
It's being.
Speed. SPEED.
It's being. I think the best thing is being.
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 Yeah, being. Very good. That's good. What's your
short and straight? Being.
being?
And that, of course, opens us for thinking, living and questioning, enjoying, creating. I think being, not in the philosophical sense, the Heideggerian sense of the being, but being in a creative way, being in a free way. And I was short and direct, but I think it needs a compliment.
Dude, you got it good because Bucky Fuller, McLuhan's buddy, said his book is I Seem to Be a Verb. So I liked all your verbs after being. So, Wilson, what's your favorite form of information, how it comes into you?
That's really, let me think one. Let me take my time. I I grew up in the 80s and video was all around. And when I was 5, that means 1982, I got my first VCR, my first home video, and I got it before I got my first video game. That for kids in my age, it was much common to receive as a gift in Christmas or something like that. But I got my VCR first, and that was my game. That was the way I process information at that time. Because my cousin, that is 15 years older than me, he left in a house. He lived in an apartment above where the place I lived, and he had one VCR too, and we started to copying films, and we started to do this cultural piracy that nowadays is so common in the web. But I was, remember, 5 years old, and it was really funny to see how video was. And you quoted Buckminster Fuller, that wrote that beautiful introduction to Ginny Youngblood book that I know you love it. And I think somehow I was dealing with expansion of consciousness. That is the whole idea of the book, thinking video and all other forms of expanding cinema. And so I'm telling you that video is the form that I consume, I like most, but I'm thinking I'm telling video to get to cinema. I'm at the same time 5, 6 years old. My father, that passed away more than 15 years ago, he used it to take me to the theaters, to movie theaters, and I was quite impressed not only with the movies in the screens, but with cinema architecture, with the walls, the lobby, the foyer, and everything that surrounded the movie experience. You know,
You, you, you
so
we're going to get into all that further, and you really nailed it well. I appreciate what you told me because we have so much in common. Vertov, Chris Marker, McLuhan, Cinema. It's amazing how close we are connected. But you're talking about the form and the content. It's not just what was on the videotapes, it's that they were VCRs and there was a projector in a movie theater. So the next question, just to follow up, is why do humans collect or gather information?
oh, and because we are living memories.
Yeah.
Uh, I think, and I've been studying the memory phenomenon for a couple of years, and all these questions related to the archives, and all these questions related at the same time to cinephilia, and uh, we are men and women of memories, and we have that apparatus since the press, since the the pictorial paintings in the caverns, in the caves, you know. And I think that's a nice a way to put this in perspective. We are memory makers, and we are made by memories.
Is this need or want to collect the information more innate or more invented?
Uh, I think the we have to put it 50-50. I think we have to mix these things. And if we had that answer to that, we would be much better beings, I think.
Ah, now look at Wilson, very, very good. Because a couple of my early questions are more this or more that. So I know it's both and it depends, but I'm going for your hunch. The next question is, do thoughts create emotions?
I think thoughts can create emotions. I think we we have we still have a very limited idea what thinking is about. We are trying, but we have a large idea what emotions are about, and I think thoughts can create emotions, and I think that art is the way of thinking these thoughts that create emotions. And I think that when we first met, that was one of the reasons you invited me. I'm really glad to be here. And it's I loved your recommendations. You know, about the questions about take your time, about
Yeah.
this idea that that is 50-50, and and now dealing with that, having to be or at least trying to be direct and hit the point, you know. uh, I think that we create. I don't know really what comes first, but we have at the same time an innate uh, bias of creation, and at the same time, someone said We think.
Yeah. No, you're
I'm
leading. You have
I'm
ESP. You have ESP because you're anticipating the next questions beautifully. Fill in the blank. I don't know what I think until I, what would you say?
until I breathe.
Wow, that is a great answer. Okay. Can humans think without language?
No.
Yeah. That is okay. Chomsky said language is not just words, it's culture, it's tradition, it's a unification of community, a whole history that creates what a community is. Wilson, what do you do when language does not work, when it breaks down?
Oh, sometimes Chomsky is not boring. Sometimes he is really, really nice, and you remember something great. Uh, re- Please repeat the question, please, please, please.
What do you do when language does not work, when
Oh
it
yeah,
breaks
oh yeah.
down?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Uh, as a teacher, I have to say uh, that my will is to cry. As,
Oh,
as a creator, I have to say my will is to laugh.
ah, the first one was as a teacher, T.
Teacher, as a professor.
As a professor, you cry. As an artist, you laugh. That is beautiful. Do you know the word from Finnegan's Wake is laugh tears?
Laugh tears, and
You know,
is your website.
yeah, he hijacked the word laughter and he made a he flubbed on. Okay, is these are two questions from Alan Turing, 1950. Is thinking a function of the soul?
Oh, yeah, probably, probably. And now you put another word into the game, soul. We have to take care of that word and of the idea that word brings. Yes, yes, for me, yes.
Can machines think?
Yeah, oh yeah, they can think.
Ah,
They can think, and sometimes they think better than us.
ah. Do you, Wilson? You got it. This is fun. Do you more pursue happiness or do you more pursue meaning?
Happiness for sure.
Does the
Happiness.
Yeah, does the brain more detect consciousness or create it? Like, is consciousness there bubbling away and we're detecting it, or are we creating it?
I think this question is at the center of everything, and it's also 50-50, Gary. Um, uh, and it's also 50-50. Uh,
Okay, let's move on because all these things will come back around.
okay, okay.
What's
And let me just say, I'm
Sure.
loving it.
Yeah. No, you can if I interrupt you too fast, you can raise your hand and go, "Wait a minute, I want to add." That's all right.
Oh, okay.
What's faster, speed of light or speed of thought?
Speed of thought.
Wow.
And I tried to be faster than the speed of light.
There's no right or wrong answers to any of these questions, but that one you got right. You can't dismantle the master's house using the master's tools. That's Audre Lorde, the poet.
Mhm.
Filmmaker Yvonne Rainer responded and said, "You can if you expose the tools." What new tool do you suggest?
Oh, yes. Um, Now I have to mention for the first time our great one, the greatest, Marshall McLuhan, and the quote was, uh, a tribute to him, but you know that all the the who put in the phrase was John Culkin, the father John Culkin, and men create tools, tools recreate men, and I think I'll in the McLuhan way or sense, I'll I'll say that very important tool nowadays is the projector.
Yes.
And because the projector, and you for sure know the beautiful homage that Hollis Frampton made to the projector in that conference. And I kind of did an experiment with my students 2 weeks ago, and we had this analog projector, 35 millimeters, that we have in the university, and we turn it on with no images, and I read Hollis Frampton text, and I said, "You're seeing a machine that still exists much more as a work of art than other things, because you are all use it to digital projectors. And digital projectors are everywhere outside the movie theaters. We are projecting in the streets, in the facades, in small objects. We can make a new arrangement of this tool. And I think it's a very important tool, not only to filmmakers, but to think culture and to put some ideas over there. You don't necessarily have to screen a movie. You can screen everything you want. And I think this pair, projector and screen, are really two important tools nowadays for art, for culture, and in a certain way for uh, a revolution, not in the same sense that this word had 60 years ago, but in a different way, and not only in a media sense, in a media ecological approach, but in a I think um, a wider perspective. So I would go with the projector.
Wilson, that was good. I want to tell you, whenever I do these interviews, if I cry or the person cries, I know it's been a total success. That answer really brought tears to my eyes, and I'll tell you why. It touched me deeply. When I was a kid, it would be 50 years ago, I went to my library and checked out Super 8 millimeter films of George Méliès. And then on my dad's Super 8 projector, the Kodaks, you could switch from fast forward to fast reverse, stop frame. You could play the projector, and we would watch Méliès and we would flick it back and forth, running it forward and backwards. We were playing the projector, and that's what you really brought up. People don't realize that. They don't talk about film and the projector. They talk about the content of the film. They don't talk about the screens or the projectors, except when you quote somebody like our mutual heroes like McLuhan and Hollis Frampton. Oh my God. Let's get a lemon out in honor of Hollis. Okay.
Yeah. So if I brought you tears, when someone cries, I cry. So if I start crying, I'll read. Can I read a small quote, Marshall McLuhan quotes about the projection, about the projector?
Yes.
It's in Understanding Media in the cinema chapter, movies chapter. Now, and I'm quoting, now in terms of media study, it is clear that the power of film to store information is accessible form to it's in accessible form is I need my glasses is unrevealed. Audio tapes and videotapes were the Excel film eventually as information storehouse, but the film remains a major information resource, a rival of the book, whose technology it did so much to continue and also to surpass. At the present time, film is still in its manuscript phase, as it were, as it were. Shortly, it will, under TV pressure, go into its portable, accessible, printed book phase. Soon, everyone will be able to have a small film projector that plays an 8 mm sound cartridge as if on a TV to screen. That is 1964. Sorry about my readings. I need my glasses. But it's on the movies chapter of Understanding Media. And McLuhan was talking about 8 mm projectors, but I think he was targeting digital
Oh yeah, really
digital
good.
projectors.
Yes, no, he knew what was coming, and that's why Stanley Stanley Kubrick said he convoluted McLuhan to make 2001, and then Marshall went to the pre-release press screening and fell asleep. So, but you
So
also
I need
you
this
also
tool. I need this tool here. I got it.
yeah,
I got the tool I need.
I got my you really touched on a lot of important things, and anyone can go reference that. They can go find Understanding Media and read that. That was very important what you said. And I want to tell you another thing Peter Greenaway says. He said, if the history of literature is this long, in Finnegan's Wake is the pinnacle, then the history of cinema is 130 years and nothing's touched Finnegan's Wake in
Yeah,
cinema. But like me and you say, but it ain't gonna keep us from trying.
yeah. Greenaway is such an interesting filmmaker
Yeah.
and such an interesting uh, guy that loves cinema but has a distance to know that we are going through a different time, and we've watched 130 years of illustrated text. Greenway
Hello.
says.
That's it. You're anticipating another question. Let's not get there yet.
Okay.
Here's the next one. McLuhan learned from Ezra Pound that artists are the antenna of the race. They're broadcasting and detecting the hidden psychic effects of our inventions so that we can cope with what we don't like about them. So McLuhan, one of his main percepts was, and I'm asking you this question, why do humans ignore the hidden psychic effects of our inventions, even though the artists are broadcasting them to us?
Oh, that's great. That's a great one. Now, I think we use it to ignore more a few decades ago, and now we are becoming a little more aware of this brilliant Pound's idea of the antenna of the race. Um, this this is a really nice question, Jerry. McLuhan brought the artist, and in particular the experimental artist, to the scene. Uh, I think this idea has something to do with your question. The experimental artist goes where the social science doesn't go. The experimental artist and the idea of being an artist to McLuhan was really amazing. It's not only the artist we are used to, but the experimental ones, the idea of experimenting. And you remembered the quote by Pound. We have a really interesting film critic in Brazil that passed away years ago named Jairo Ferreira, and he uses the expression satellite cinema, and it's a book for critics, and most some critics in Brazil hate that book, and it's called Cinema of Invention, Critics of Invention. My goal here to try to answer this really nice question is to think this idea uh, of antennae and satellites of kind of being our guides to understanding arts, understanding this that I think that is the hardest, the toughest question to answer. That what is art?
Good. Let's move on. Do artists have a moral obligation?
No, no, I don't think so. We're the person inside the artist may have, yes. Uh, there is a. I think I saw it uh, in a wall here. Some street art. Some street artist wrote it. What artist can't can't do it, the artist has to do it. It's something like that. What the artist can't do it, he has to do it.
Really good. Yeah.
And then when you put moral in that mix, uh, for sure we have to be aware. Uh, but I think, and a lot of cineasts and a lot of filmmakers touched that question. Godard uh, was is the first name that came to my mind. Uh, it's not just an image; it's an image that is just, that is fair. Um, but at the same time, Godard is really experimenting,
Yeah.
and at sometimes that content, that narrative, it's not moral. Sometimes it's really far from moral. So
Very good, Wilson. You quoted your graffiti street artist. I think you're better than America. In America, our street art said, "The Matrix was a documentary." Can, can you conjure up your earliest memory ever or one of them?
oh, there's a TV show here in Brazil that makes this question, and me and my wife we were watching it, and we decided to tell each other what was. I have a really vivid image, and I think I was 4 years old, and I was going to school for the first time, and I remember the uniform, that thing that you have to wear and you should not wear when you are 4 years old. We start wearing uniforms with 4 years old.
Oy.
And I have this image, and I think that's probably because a picture that I
Right.
saw mm, many years ago, and it's in front of a car, but I in a very I don't know, kind of involuntary memory. I don't know if the picture brought it to me, if the TV show asked me, and I started to thinking, this is a really question that tricks us. We have to get to guess, and I would go with that. And
You explore this in all your writings. It's amazing how the title of your essay was "My Entire Lifeblood." Memory marker McLuhan. I'm like, holy moly. Is memory more a curse or more a blessing? I know it's both and it depends. What's your hunch?
it's a blessing.
Okay.
And that goes with what I was trying to remember here, talking about the picture and the image I created of that uniform. That for me is such a blessing, because now I'm aware that I hate uniforms, that I hate all that things, but there I am with the uniform. And Chris Marquet has this beautiful quote: "I claim for the image the power of Madeleine." That is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. And that trick question reminded me this quote. Marquet was such a great one, such a great filmmaker.
Yeah, he also said, I abandoned Gutenberg for McLuhan years ago. that is like a mantra. Okay, were you raised a particular religion?
Yeah, I was raised as a Catholic.
Me too. So did you check out, or are you still practicing?
So I jumped out. I have to
What
say,
age?
I jumped out when that school of the uniform was a priest school, and I had that obligations of going to the mass and bringing the apparatus. I call it apparatus now, but the wine, the water, the pieces of gold, and all that stuff. And I think when I was 15, 16, I decided to not believe.
Okay.
But then I think I lost my father, and it's the second time he appears in this interview. I lost my father when I was 27, and I needed something to relieve the pain. And so my wife has this background readings of Cardicism, of spiritualism, and I decided to read that to relieve the pain, as I said. And now I really like reading it. There is this place near my house that is a Jewish spiritual center. And it's very interesting because they are not following Jewish religion, they are following Allan Kardec's. And that mix really interests me. I'm not a Kardecist, I'm not a spiritualist in that sense, but I like being there, listening, not talking. I talk a lot during my classes. You are you are witnessing here that I like talking a lot during this interview, and there I like to listen.
Nice.
I think it could be in African religion, here in Brazil. It could be all religions, but I needed that time to listen and not reading the Bible,
or
the book,
scripture, yeah.
or nothing, or something like that.
Yeah. Wilson, do you pray?
Yeah, I pray.
Okay, now let's keep going. If God exists, what do you want God to say to you after you die?
Uh, you you read too much Marshall McLuhan, boy.
No, you go up to God and he goes, McLuhan sucks, dude.
and
Okay.
and and as and as anyhow, now he's here with me.
Yeah, I got him right here. Okay. Do evil people exist, or does evil use people as a vehicle?
Evil uses people as a vehicle.
Good. Let's move on. That's fine. How do you advise someone to deal with an enemy? I'm going to set it up. Few modern thinkers' thoughts. Alan
Okay.
Watts, if you acknowledge your enemy, you empower them. Coppola stole from the samurai and the mob. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. JFK said, forgive your enemy, but don't forget their name. And Fellini says, I need an enemy. So it's a lot of thoughts. You're cracking up like me.
Yeah,
Okay.
they are all great.
Yeah, but before you tell me, Wilson, how you advise someone to deal with an enemy, how would you respond to Alan Watts? If you acknowledge your enemy, you empower them.
Yeah, for sure. And I would advise by saying, keep them close with your eyes wide open.
Yeah.
Don't give your back to them at any moment, but keep them close. And we are living tough times. We need to talk to them.
Yeah.
We need to talk to them. So keep them close. Talk to them. Don't give your back to them, and keep your eyes wide open.
Beautiful. James Joyce was the first projectionist. Here we go. Projection, man, projectionist in Dublin over 100 years ago. He ran Volta Cinema. He basically checked out. He said, this is stupid. Why should I go inside a building and see a movie of a tree when I can go outside and see a real tree? Years later, Faulkner said, sometimes the best fiction is more true than journalism. Why do we have to recreate things in order to get them? Why do we have to go to a theatrical play of people acting out life? Why don't we just live life?
Because the medium is the message. And that's such a beautiful question to that answer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's not only what's inside the screen, it's that what surrounds. It's the media ecology that surround it. It's that when this pandemic came and all the drive-ins started to reopen, that was such an interesting phenomenon, wasn't it? Because you can go with your car and you can watch a movie, but you're not going to the movies. You are going for a walk. No, you are hiding. You're driving your car and going somewhere, and your window, the window of the car, it's the first screen you are dealing. Then there you're dealing with another one, and we go there to have fun. We go there to challenge our preconceptions. Uh, Going to the movies is and and the movie's coming for us at the same time. We live in this streaming era and all things like that. When you don't go there and things come to you, and this is for me a really way of seeing this enigmatic McLuhan quote: "The medium is the message." And I was direct again, saying the medium is the message, and the ideas came to my mind. I've been trying to write about the the screening places, movie theaters as uh, media ecology, as McLuhan's ideas, and you remembered the the 2001 Kubrick's episode with McLuhan, and uh, that's really a way of thinking what is this medium all about? If he really slept during the that preview, uh, he lost such a good movie.
Yeah, but you know, Eric sort of said that's sort of myth. It's a little myth to it. He fell asleep
Yeah.
after 10 minutes. He probably woke back up, but it's a great story to tell people because you can literally find Kubrick saying, I made 2001 to convolute McLuhan. That is like so
Yeah.
major. Everybody goes, what? But let's go off on a tangent because you quote Stephen Shaviro, The Cinematic Body,
Yeah.
1993. Film should be neither exalted as a medium of collective fantasy nor condemned as a mechanism of ideological mystification. It should rather be praised as a technological passivity and abjection. This was a heavy quote, you know. It almost sounds like Kenneth Anger said, the day cinema was invented was a black day for mankind.
Yeah.
but here's the bottom line question. Auden the poet says, the mystery of art is that we don't know if it activates or pacifies us. So, do movies create false expectations?
I think that all the time, and I think that Shaviro is trying to get into that uh, strange uh, question. And the cinematic experience is really an experience. It's an experience in its literal way, I think, and that's a way of thinking creation of realities. And I may be anticipating some questions here, but at the same time, uh, David Cronenberg and Videodrome, I think that they, with that uh, McLuhan character inspired, Dr. Brian Oblivion, said something that is really McLuhan at the same time. There's nothing real outside our perception of reality. And if cinema was born in a really cloudy, moody day, you know, the father of the Lumiere brothers said this invention will not last. Cinema is an invention without future, with no future.
Yeah.
And here we are talking about uh, cinema 132 years, 7 years, 100 and almost 40 years
Now
later.
we say
And
140, but you said Lumiere's dad said that it's an invention without a future.
yeah,
Yeah.
this quote is first uh, said that one of the Lumiere brothers, I think Louis Lumiere, I think Auguste Lumiere said it, but then some film history discovered that was their father,
Yeah.
Antoine Lumiere, and it's funny because the first thing I saw that quote was in Le Mépris, Jean-Luc Godard's movies with Brigitte Bardot, and they are in a screening room, and that quote is there below the screen. You remember, it's really in the beginning of the movie, and and the brilliant uh, uh, German filmmaker. Oh my God, Fritz Lang
Yeah.
is playing himself in the movie, a director of a movie, and they are there, and that quote in the wall, and the audience uh, in the Brazilian version is not translated, and I think in most versions there the code is not translated. Cinema is an invention without future. I think it's in French. I don't remember, but then I read film history that said that was not a Lumiere brother code, Auguste, I think, or Louis Lumiere. It was a code of their father that really took the Lumiere's uh, courage to follow, to keep on making movies. They were not movie filmmakers. That concept didn't exist in the early cinema. But I think at the same time, this sentence putting the death of cinema in the first years that art is being created, it's really a code to make us think about cinema and about movies. And I don't know if it was a rainy and cloudy and black day, but
Well,
the fathers of that invention said this will not go on.
heavy, because the La Poste, the French newspaper in Paris, the first review of like a projected film said, "Now you'll never be able to die." And that says it all. Death of cinema, and now you'll never be able to. I mean, it's in a big soup. Okay, here's the big question, because you said to me you anticipated the question, and indeed you did, Wilson. It is perception reality.
Or I think I have to get the video the video drum videotape. And I think perception is reality.
Yeah.
And reality is less than television perception. But
Here's
do you like this one? I think it's a really important movie nowadays. I think Videodrome is a really important movie for us to understand what is happening with streaming, with new media. And it's 1982, 1983. And it's a Canadian that went to McLuhan's classes and had no interest, or had few interests. Cronenberg was there, and McLuhan's aura inspired, touched him somehow, and he made that.
Yeah.
And now it's a McLuhan movie for me, and it's a chapter of my McLuhan and cinema book, in which I think some Dave Cronenberg's characters as McLuhan's persona, as McLuhan's man, as McLuhan's ideas. Dr. Brian Oblivion is an idea that people created for McLuhan. Dave Cronenberg created that idea. And
it's like reincarnation. McLuhan didn't die.
No, not at all.
He lives on, but
Elvis is dead. McLuhan is not.
That's good. But Wilson, here's Louis Buñuel, Exterminating Angel.
Oh.
Its images, like images in dream, do not reflect reality, but create it. Ferlinghetti, the poet who just died, said, "As a poet, I don't deal in reality." So here's the question I never ask. What is reality?
No, that's great. That's great. And Buñuel would give us really uh, a great answer with the title of one paper he wrote, Cinema as a Poetry Instrument.
Yes.
I think I would uh, bring that quote to answer your question.
It's good. Let's leave it there. That's perfect because we should move on. That was really beautiful. And, just to follow up on this, we'll just slip into death and dreams for a second because we have this theme going.
Oh,
Can
great.
you forget to die?
No, I try.
Because you
And
know
I,
what? Yeah, go
and
ahead.
I try. And I try.
Yeah.
But death keeps reminding me I'm here. I'm here. And it's inevitable to say we are living, uh, you guys in America, 8,000 people, and here in Brazil, 600,000 people with this uh, this virus, and not thinking about death nowadays, it's really tough. But at the same time, when it comes to my mind, I go outside and breathe. As I said in the beginning,
Good.
I breathe.
Beautiful. Hollis Frampton said narrative is born among the animal necessity of the spirit because we're waiting to die. Now, this is funny because you already said what I say, my mantra. Basically, cinema was hijacked by narrative for 130 years, or like 100 years, let's say. The first weren't
Yes.
narrative per se, but it's interesting. He says that storytelling was born, that narrative was born out of this animal necessity of the spirit because we're waiting to die. And then Greenaway says cinema is much too rich a medium to be left to storytellers.
Yes.
You should have seen Herzog when I told him that quote. He started yelling at me that Greenaway was a shitty filmmaker. He was jealous. You could tell he was barbarian. He's a complainer. But are experimental filmmakers telling stories a different way or doing something completely different? Because Andrew Noren says you put one frame after another, that is narrative. But if you're Tony Conrad and you put flicker, black, white, that's not really a story per se. That's a visual strobing effect. But that's the question is,
Yeah.
yeah, you
Great.
get the question. Go ahead.
But isn't the visual strobing effect a way of telling something?
Yeah.
And so a narrative. So this tension between experimental and narrative, I think we are, and for sure you are with me in that, we are miles away from that. We create the narrative we want, and we are doing that with everything. But in movies, we have that separation. Like the experimental is the opposite of the narrative.
Yeah.
But experimental movies deal with dreams, with somnambulism, with all kinds of stuff, with flickering effect, with structural questions of the film, and at the same time we have and we can find narrative in all that, in all those pieces. So I would like, and I think it's a very depth that I have to Greenaway, thinking movies, cinema as an encyclopedia, an audiovisual encyclopedia, and that are, and that's not Greenway. I have never seen, so maybe it's mine. Or as a puzzle. I think there are both ways of thinking away from that opposition of narrative and experimental.
Beautiful, Wilson. That was great because it evoked, again, you anticipated the next. Harry Smith said the purpose of cinema was to put you to sleep. Salvador Dali says, close your eyes when you're watching a film. But it was Yoko Ono said, when you dream a dream alone, it's a dream. When you dream a dream with other people, it's reality. So if you're in a big room and you're all watching a film and you're dreaming a dream. So then McLuhan probed Finnegan's Wake by James Joyce, and he said, everyone has this power to create these scenarios while they sleep. Artists also, and not to be elitist, but artists and other people can also dream awake while they're awake.
Yeah.
And even Jean Cocteau said it's a filmmaker's privilege to be able to allow a large number of people to dream the same dreaming together, and to show us, moreover, the optical illusions of unreality with the rigor of realism. What role did dreams have in you following your career path, becoming an artist, music and film, and then becoming a professor? Like, walk us through. Did you dream it up? I'm going to become a professor and then become an artist. Sort of walk us through your path, how it happened.
Oh, thank you for asking this. I think it all came together. I started playing guitar when I was 12, and I started hitting the chords and making noise. And then as I said, I was copying and making my pirate movies. But at that moment, as a teenager, I had no idea, and I don't have a clue what I was dreaming at that time. I was dreaming with the girls. I was dreaming with uh, many things, but not. I'm gonna do that. And to sum up, when I was 17, I entered university to study chemistry, and I went to I made this 4-year undergrad course in chemistry, and then I think I started dreaming. And at that time, I went to the university much more for the parties than to the classes, much more because of the internet. I didn't have internet at home. I had at the university. This was 1995. So all this universe that the university is came to me, and I liked the classes. I liked the teaching, and I was making my art. I was improving on my guitar playing. I was, making the videos for my band as an experimental video maker, and that all came together. And I think at that moment I started dreaming. I can put all these things together. I can be a teacher. I can be an experimental artist, and I can make my living with that. I can, and much more than make my living. I can live with that, and then, Jerry, I started dreaming, and then I think the dream began.
That was beautiful. Okay. A screenwriting teacher told me great film Great art is when you can clearly see the intention of the maker. Stanley Kubrick says the opposite. Great film is when you can clearly not see the intention of the maker. What role does intention play in your creative process?
Oh, that is great. You see what you want us to see. You know, as an artist, I sometimes I want you to see something, sometimes not. But then you see, and that game, I think, is the function of what I believe to be art, to be an artist.
Good.
That's really I think
Yeah.
I think I summarized, and maybe this will come back, but that idea of and if we get movies itself themselves, the idea of the cinema that you don't know the cut. There's a perfect like Hitchcock's Hope. You are tricked, but you don't see it, you know. But at the same time, Hitchcock made that agreement with you. You know that the guy is dead, but you don't know where the cut is. And that logic of transparency. That's the idea of you are not seeing because you are immersed in this movie experience, and at the same time you get the modern cinema, and you have the nouvelle vague and the new cinema showing you the cut. You are in a cinema exhibition, in a movie exhibition. You are seeing, and I'm showing to you, or thinking experimental cinema, the flickering that you remembered a couple of questions ago. You are seeing the flicks, and that's all about. But you can see what you want to see, and that's for me the purpose of my art. But that not maybe the
Yeah.
commercial filmmaker of the moment.
Yeah. That's good. Wilson, that's like one of our other heroes, Zygmunt Vertov. He put his wife in his film, editing the film. How perfect is that?
Yeah, this is just perfect.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
Eisenstein did the edits, but Vertov said, "I'll show you the person editing."
yeah,
Okay.
that's one great scene, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Oh,
Uh,
that is amazing.
that's one great scene,
He's got it.
the horse stopped, and you see the photogram, and then wife Vertov's wife. Oh no, now I'm putting this all things together. So and then you watch the horse again, and it's great. It's great.
Okay, so Marcel Duchamp said there's no art without an audience. How much are you thinking of your audience when you're making your art? When you're making it?
All the time and no time at all. Like you know, no time.
Yeah,
No, this moment I don't want to think about you, and all the time because there is no art for myself.
yeah. Beautiful.
And
Okay. So
and
McLuhan
this
said,
is
yeah,
Duchamp in essence. I think.
yeah. No, dude, you nailed it. You're the perfect interview for my questions. You have them all perfect. Like, That's why I'm cutting you off because you're just doing them too perfect. Okay.
Thank you.
McLuhan, I'm serious. I'm very serious.
Only because the questions are great.
Well, I appreciate that. I've so McLuhan said clothing extends our skin, knife and fork extends our teeth. The shutter in a projector extends our eyelid. What does two things? The guitar. What humanness does the guitar extend, and what humanness does the projector extend?
I think that I'm trying to figure out what Hendrix would answer to that,
Good.
because
Good reference.
The guitar for Jimi Hendrix extended his fire, his
Oh,
inner fire,
inner
uh,
fire.
and I don't know. I have a really uh, some questions with my fingers. First I thought I had small fingers to play guitar, and then I checked all the guitar players I was listening, and they had small fingers. Oh, that's not a reason. Okay, so it's extending my fingers, but at the same time, uh, the sound, it's extending what I wanted to say, and I can only say by playing because I'm not such a good writer. I write, but I'm not. I know I'm not a good writer, and so I would go with that. And the projection in this is the last chapter of my McLuhan cinema book. The projector is an extension of this idea we had for cinema. I would go with that.
Good.
And this is in a very Frampton, Horace Frampton, not Peter Frampton.
Yeah. Yeah, don't get
I
it
was teaching a course last year, and I said Peter Frampton 2 times, and then no, Horace Frampton. And you made the question guitar and projection. So
my hero Frank Zappa wrote a song that's made fun of Peter Frampton.
yeah.
You know that?
Yeah, and like all songs, it's a great song.
Okay,
But Peter Frampton was an interesting guitar player because of the talk box that extends something really in a strange way, isn't it?
Totally.
It's a pedal that extends what you're playing, but then you have to make a strange movement with your mouth. You don't
Yeah.
speak, you don't uh, breathe. You cannot be breathing because you're gonna make different sounds. Okay, that's okay. But to play it correct, it's really strange. And I have a talk box here, and I try to play it sometimes in the right way, sometimes to experimental different things. And Peter Frampton went to the core of the idea of the talk box, I think. I like him playing talk boxes, not guitars.
Totally. And you can't blame him. He did come out of humble pie, which was a nasty ass
Yeah,
band.
yeah.
Okay, I talked to Michael Apted 40 years ago. I said, why do rock video makers feel so obliged to edit fast? He says, because we've learned to take in information faster. I says, well, most people don't know that Abel Gance invented rapid montage in 1922, but it really flourished in 1980 MTV. And Marty Scorsese said, hey, I cut my films faster because of MTV.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked this question with a bias. Can humans literally learn to take in information faster, or are we just brainwashed to believe we can?
I think we can learn. I think a younger generation is learning. I have students that come to me and say, I watched 2 movies at the same time with the double speed each one. And I said, what? What the fuck? You know? And for them, okay. And I say, okay, I can do it. Maybe this hyper speed of this ultra informational society and all the things we're dealing may, but on the younger generation is dealing okay with that, and we have to think about the effects of that. We have to think about how this is connecting to education, because they are students that came to me. If you are an editor, you are seeing lots of things at the same time and you are operating, then okay. But as a student, to see more films, And it's funny, Gary, Jerry. They come and say, because you talk about so many things, so many pictures, so many examples, I have to be fast and watch. And so I'm not brainwashing them like mass media can do, is able to do. I'm not, but they are dealing with new situations and trying to find a way to adapt. To adapt
You help. Yeah, Wilson, you helped me recall when I was in Ann Arbor going to school. It was pre filmmaking, film theory. It was like we had film classes, but they didn't call it like film theory or film studies yet. It was like early 70s.
Mhm.
And my teacher Jan Barna from Russia, I think, he showed us two reels of Eisenstein next to each other, two different screens at the same time to show us what editing was. So he
Yes.
did exactly what your student said. I watched two movies at the same
Same
time.
time.
That was beautiful. So, what was the motive of the cave artist? Not what Herzog said or anthropologists, your hunch.
It's really boring here. Let's do
that is
something. Let's do something.
that is a good answer. I want to go back to your students too. What are the services and disservices of marginalizing experimental film? Jackson Pollock was on the cover of Life magazine in 1949. Regular folks in America could form an aesthetic on experimental painting. There was no Bruce Conner or Maya Deren Life magazine covers. It's generally privileged, entitled, I call them rich art kids who develop an aesthetic for avant garde film and dominate the experimental film world. Any comment?
Oh, for sure. Experimental filmmaking was always the ugliest one. Uh, and I think that was nice, Jerry. I think here in Brazil, it was all hidden and it's still hidden and it's still marginalized. You know, I have a brilliant student. He's the curator of an experimental film here in Brazil, entitled Ecrã, Screen. You know, and what I've been seeing there, uh, not a single note at the press, not a comment at the radio stations, and nothing at all. And they're going to their sixth edition. Young students that just went out of undergrad cinema schools and film schools, and they are making it. And sometimes I think when I went to experimental sessions, exhibitions in the 80s, uh, it was pretty much the same thing, and how the scene developed in those conditions.
Yeah.
Uh, and we cannot uh, no bring it and make it swallow. So you're gonna like it, or you
Yeah.
have to understand it. Um, I think, and now with new art expressions because of the digital configuration we are seeing, like glitches and
Yeah.
animated gifs, and people are getting used to it, and they do not know that they are experimental
Right.
art,
Yep. No, that's the beauty of it.
and they are, transforming it in stickers to send through the cell phones, and they are uh, creating TikTok videos, and they don't know. And most of them, okay, it's garbage, but then you stuck in some guy, and oh, this is funny. This is really experimental. And you go and the guy have million followers. So things are changing in the
Yeah.
experimental scene
Yeah.
because of that.
Right, and you fit right in perfect to the next question. George Manupelli started the Ann Arbor Film Festival. It's going to be 60 years in March. His mantra was ignore yourself. Jonas Mekas says there is no self-expression. Cecil Taylor, the jazz pianist, says I'm just a vehicle and this just comes through me. Is art making more self-expression? I know it's both and it depends, but is art more self-expression or more you're a vehicle for whatever culture or technology is dominant?
Oh, more self-expression. I think it goes it goes much better with what I was developing in the question before, and
Yeah.
not because of that. I'm trying to think with you. I think there is self-expression all the time, and we are seeing a new generation that uh, beyond uh, good and evil is gonna to have to deal with that in a different way. It's 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 the destiny of art of and this is what is about, I think, nowadays. um, the experiment is the message to uh, to make a reference here to our
That's
McLuhan
good.
again.
Can art making be egoless?
Oh, it has to do it. It has to do it. Um, and art is, I think, in the avant-garde of that question.
Yeah.
I think other things have to make ego quiet down, ego. Calm down, calm down. uh, and let's remember Rimbaud quote: "I am another. I am an other."
Whose quote is that? Rimbaud?
I think Arthur Rimbaud.
Yeah, I am other. Yes. That's beautiful. Um, tell me one major element of your creative output, your creative process that's changed in one major element that stayed the same since you've been doing it.
Oh, I've changed. I've
Yeah,
changed. I've
you've
changed.
changed. That's
Yeah,
good. Okay.
I've changed. We are changed. Like the famous image that the Greek philosopher Heraclitus said about entering the river. You enter the river and you're no longer the same, and the river is no longer the same. So I've changed in a holistic way. And what didn't change, I think it's the 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 obsession.
Yeah.
Uh, Artists are really obsessed minds. So I've changed but my obsession in making bad art or good art didn't change. Sometimes I want to make bad art,
Good. I
and
like
then
that. I agree.
I am obsessed with that.
Yeah.
But you know, I've changed it through these years. Maybe now I'm conscious of that. Uh, that I'm struggling with my changes and with this question that remains, that is the obsession. And I could say as McLuhanist that materials changed, the interface changed, but I would go with that. I think I've changed, I'm changing, but my obsessions and desires, they are pretty much the same. And then I put here the word desire. That is really tough to explain in an artistic sense, you know. But and for me, is related with this obsession for sure. And
Wilson, we have about 10 more minutes, but can you go an extra 10 or 15, or you got to leave in 10?
oh no, let's go more of 10 minutes, okay, for
Okay.
me.
Okay, good. So, what's more important, conviction or compromise?
Jerry, just this is 50-50 for me too. Um, Convictions may be sometimes a trap, you know, but they are real. They are here, and compromise. It's the obligation. I'm as an educator, as a professor, I cannot put it away, but I have to be, and as I said, 50-50. I have to be flexible. Uh, uh, I have to be like that brilliant cover of, I think it was the first Steve Vai album, Flex Able. That is
Yeah.
a nice, I think Joycean title. Even though I don't know if Steve Vai likes Joyce, he probably would like.
Wilson, I asked Steve Vai all these same questions. And
Yeah,
when he
I
left,
know.
yeah, when he left uh Zappa, he played cheesy little bars in LA, and he asked me to do the lights. And I never did rock lighting. But the funniest was I went in this one club and they had one switch on and off. So I told Steve I practiced on my bedroom switch all day. And it's funny you bring up Flexible because he was playing that album.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't find that interview. I will check it out. But if I
Oh yeah.
don't find, please send me. I really
Yeah.
want to see it,
Yeah.
read
No,
it.
I'll send it to you. It's archive.org. It's on archive.org. Anyways,
Okay.
that's beautiful. You like Steve. Okay, so um Moshe Feldenkrais works with healing and movement. And he says it's literally possible to identify a weakness and incorporate it to become a strength rather than we're normally taught to overcome a weakness.
Oh,
Tell
yes.
me tell me a weakness you turned into a strength.
Oh, that's uh, crying baby that inhabits in me. I cry all the time, and I told my shrink, "Why is that? Do I have a problem?" No, you're just more emotional or something like that. And then I try to embrace that, and uh, I loved your left ears idea of naming your website because sometimes like that I'm I'm laughing, I'm crying too much. I'm crying because I laughed too much, uh, and then I tried to incorporate it to my creative process. This there is an expression in Brazil that we call chororô. It's like you cry too much, and you're crying for nothing. And and that idea that men don't cry, that's why. I have eyes, I have tears, and why shouldn't I cry?
Yeah.
This followed me, Jerry, for a couple of years. As I said, I took it to psychoanalysis to think when I went to a shrink, and then I'm writing a piece of music, or I am listening to music, and I think in both ways I am being an artist. Uh, and why not to bring that, what someone may call that emotional in excess. Uh, so I have to deal with that, and so I try to incorporate, to bring to my creations.
Dude,
I think that's not uh, uh, an answer for your question. I'm trying to think
no,
something
no, that was
more
no,
practical.
Wilson, that was a good answer. It was a very good answer. It resonates with my mother taught me about crying. She said, when you cry, you're getting emotional relief, but also you're physically getting toxins
Yes.
out of your body through the
Yeah.
tears.
Yes.
So we don't realize that. Let's move on. That was good. T.S. Eliot said that poetry is outing your inner dialogue. What language is your inner dialogue in?
Uh, oh, it's music.
Oh, nice. Let's stay on music
It's
for a second. Let's stay
it's
on music.
music.
Yeah. What?
Sorry,
Yeah.
you remembered Abel Gance and that beautiful quote: "Cinema is the music of light." And so at the same time, it's music, but it's films. It's film. It's that universal language that films brought to to them, you know. But in a direct answer, I would go with music. Music is the language that keeps at the same time haunting and bringing me joy to think,
Who,
to
who
create.
is who said that cinema is music of light again?
Abel Gance. Abel
Oh,
Gance.
Abel Gance. Abel Gance. Thank you. Thank you. I love Abel Gance. And so my friend said the three T's of music: technique, theory, and taste. So, theory, you can study what chords and all the notes doing. Technique, you can learn how to play. And then taste. How does one acquire taste in music?
Yeah, that's the toughest one, I think. Isn't it? Because theory, you can learn to some level. Technique, you can learn to some level. You can bring to your level. Okay, I wanted to play like Steve Vai. I know I can't, but I wanted to. Okay, I'll try. But taste is the question. And the way is, the old way is listening. Of
Yeah.
course, yeah, it's listening with your ears wide open. It's listening without prejudice. It's listening. Oh, we are living terrible moments in music nowadays. I'm stuck in the 60s, in the 70s. And okay, I'm stuck it too, but I have to listen to what is happening.
Yeah.
Uh, and I keep listening. And then I find some things interesting. And then I go back and listen to Frank Zappa.
Yeah.
And
I
so
asked,
clean, and then I clean my ears, and I can go back to what is happening.
I asked George Clinton what kind of music he likes, and he goes, I
Oh.
like the kind of music that I hate, that pisses me off, so I can figure out why don't I like this music? It's really beautiful.
Sorry to interrupt you again.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
It's really it's not being an apple polisher here. It's really an honor, this interview for me. You interviewed George Clinton. Oh my God.
Godhead.
That one is amazing.
Yeah.
I,
George
I,
said
I
George
think
said
I'll.
it all. He said, funk is the absence of.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean
that's good.
that's just to the point and just right there. That's all you need. Funk
Yeah,
is the absence of. But I said,
and
I
I
said,
will listen. I will listen to him when we finish here.
yeah,
It's
yeah. I said, What does hold my jammy while I go pee mean? Is it hold my joint while I piss? Or hold my dick while I smoke my joint? He goes, it means all that stuff. He wouldn't commit. Like, hold my pajamas open while I pee. Hold my jammy while I pee.
Great, great.
And McLuhan said song is slowed down speech. The reason cultures have different musical tastes is ultimately connected to language difference. This is an amazing question to ask you because you understand music and you understand McLuhan. Most musicians I say that to can't get it because they don't understand McLuhan. To understand McLuhan, it's hard. People think it's easy, but it's hard. You really got to get deep, and I know you have. So, what does that mean to you? Song is slowed down speech. The reason cultures have different musical tastes is ultimately connected to language difference. Do you agree, or how do you suss that out?
And everything related to McLuhan, we agree first, and then we have to remember his own uh, quote. I don't necessarily agree with everything that I say. So, and related to music, this is really great because uh, song and speech. What is McLuhan thinking with that pair? Um, because as you brilliant as George Clinton, uh, that is a song question or a speech question. You know that way of mixing words with what you are creating, and everything for sure will uh, stage into language.
Yeah.
And I've been reading McLuhan for 25 years. It's not that much in comparison to you and to the ones that read it in the 60s, in the 70s. I've been reading since the 1999, 1998. I was trying to develop as a musician. And what I can say is that McLuhan helped me a lot. I think that that's a homage I have never done to him. He he helped me a lot, and my first idea of entering McLuhan and studying McLuhan in my projects was with songs, not with cinema. But I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Maybe someday I'll be able to. I think I still cannot. Uh, we are trying to make a band for playing in the Media College Association convention, you know, and I'll be playing if everything goes right with Andrew McLuhan. I'll be playing with one McLuhan. Maybe if we step in the stage together, then I'll be able to write something on McLuhan and songs on McLuhan and music.
That's beautiful. You know the story of Andrew playing a punk rock show, and then
Yeah.
when the show ended in the mosh pit at the bottom of the floor, there was a copy of Understanding Media. How did that happen?
That's great, isn't it? That's Andrew is such a great person,
Really?
and I have to pay another homage here uh, this time for him. He was the one that said, "You have to find someone to translate that book. I want to read it. I want to. I'd love to know that there is someone in Brazil thinking the ideas of my grandfather." And movies and cinema. And oh, you are asking, I'll do it. And then I went to an editor here in Brazil and I said, this book has to be in two languages. And this I own to Andrew McLuhan.
Yeah,
And
no,
and
and I
and he
appreciate.
and he and Professor Eric wrote the foreword, the preface of my book. That is the most brilliant thing in the whole book.
Yeah, no, your book is very good, and I was lucky. Again, tip a hat to uh, Will Erickson's mom was the working at the media ecology session. I think when you came through town and you gave her two copies and Will
Yes.
gave me one of the copies. So it's been a long road. So we just got a few more here. Wilson, this has been fun. Um, you create what you resist. It's an old saying. Bob Goldthwait, the comedian, morphed it into you are what you hate. James Joyce said it's curious thing how your mind is super saturated with the religion in which you say you disbelieve. And Louis Buñuel nailed it. Thank God I'm an atheist.
And Frank Zappa said, "You are what you miss."
Yeah. Very good. You create what you resist. I'm not saying you, but just this idea one creates what one resists. Any comments?
Yeah, all the time. You create what you resist. And like Jello Biafra, to put someone else here, uh, you hate the media, be the media.
Right. Very good.
So resistance and creating are not separable,
Yeah.
because the act of creating is resistance, is somehow struggling with your own self. Isn't it a way to resist, to
Yeah.
struggle with your inner fears, with all that you have inside? And I loved your quotes to that question. And and I'm loving everything. I'll be an
Okay.
apple
We
polisher again.
just we got a few more here. How do you find peace of mind?
Listening to Iron Maiden's album Peace of Mind. There's a song there that I love, Still Life. Uh, and it's a classical Iron Maiden song, okay, but it's about a third encounter of outer space.
Nice.
And 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 the first verse, I think it's, take a look in the pool and what do you see? And it's outer space that is in the pool. And that's really strange, but the album was strange. But when you asked Peace of Mind, it was the first thing that came to my mind. But I would extend it and say, I listen to some good old rock and roll.
Nice. That's beautiful. If you were walking down the street today and you met yourself as a 12-year-old, what would you say to your 12-year-old self?
Oh, uh, spend more time with your father.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Spend more time with your mother.
It's beautiful, man.
That,
I asked Dr. John, the great, boogie woogie pianist,
mhm.
all these questions. When I got to that one, he goes, "I won't go there." He felt it was like too voodoo to. Okay, let's do these 5 quick Alan Watts questions, just in one or couple words off
Okay.
the off the top of your head. Who started it all?
Uh, Let me breathe. Um, a tree.
Are we going to make it?
Yes.
Where do we
We.
put
Sorry.
where do we put it?
First, in our hearts. Then you can put any other place. For me, it's okay.
Who's cleaning it up?
Uh, it's a tough one. I wish someone is cleaning these things up. I wish someone is doing. I really don't know.
That's good. I wish
Uh,
someone is.
we are making it dirtier.
That's right. Okay, one more Alan Watts question. Is it serious?
Yes, it has to be, but it has to be funny too. It needs to be funny.
Which way should toilet paper come off the roll, over or under?
uh, that depends on the moment.
Good. If you were in a vat of vomit up to your neck and someone threw a bag of shit at your face, what would you do?
I would fight a lot after it.
Nice. I don't get that. I don't get that answer. Tell me something good you never had and you never want.
Uh, I never had and I never wanted. I have 8 guitars. I never wanted uh, a mandolin.
Nice.
And I like mandolins, but I would not know what to do.
Okay, a couple more. These are 2 McLuhan questions I never ask people because they don't know enough about McLuhan, but you are so well. What does these 4 words by McLuhan mean to you? How do they make you feel? The drama of cognition.
Oh. It makes me think about this whole path I've been uh, walking. It makes me think about how to associate uh, art and ideas. It makes me think that at the same time it's a drama, but uh, who is what is behind that? You know, because cognition is also recognition, and drama. Uh, yeah, and I have to remember here the famous Marx quote: "History, the first time, is drama, and when it reappears, it's comedy." It's something like that.
Yeah.
So I think McLuhan was uh, calling our attention to the different paths of cognition, putting the idea of drama. That's my interpretation, and I've read that a couple of times. And thanks for asking. You said that you don't ask for.
No, I
think you
love
should.
it.
I think you should ask to everyone
I should.
because
I should.
yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not sure if you meant Karl Marx or Groucho Marx, because when Groucho was in
No, it's Karl Marx.
yeah, I know it's Karl Marx. It's like when the Marx brothers were in a bind, one of them said, "We got to think," and the other one said, "We already tried that."
Yeah. Oh, great,
Okay,
great,
here's the other.
great. Those three Marx brothers.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a Groucho Marxist. So
Groucho Marxist. Great.
so McLuhan asked this question. This is what I like about this one. It is a little complicated, but your mind is so saturated with McLuhan. I love to hear you break it down. And it's great that he didn't say it as a statement. The big thing about Annie Hall. First of all, if you didn't know these two things, do you know the first two choices before McLuhan for Woody Allen were Fellini and Buñuel?
Yeah.
And then Marshall was the third choice. You already knew that?
Yeah, I knew it after. I knew it after I finished the book. Someone said.
Well, that's beautiful. I thought, but did you know this one? Woody Allen basically changed McLuhan, who usually said, "You mean my whole fallacy is
Is
wrong,"
wrong.
as a question. Woody made him say it as a statement.
Yeah.
And that's backwards. But Marshall would probably in heaven go, "Well, a half a truth is still a lot of a truth."
Yeah. And the line after it's perfect to sum up that sequence. If life was only like that.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Okay, so here's the McLuhan question. How about technologies as the collective unconscious and art as the collective unconsciousness? So, he's breaking down art and technology, and he's saying conscious and consciousness are different. So he's saying,
Yeah.
how about technologies as the collective unconscious and art as the collective unconsciousness? What the heck does that mean, Wilson?
Oh my. It's what I have to say. Oh my. And I think a good way to that's a question that could uh, make us write a paper together and or make a movie from that. And I think Ginny Youngblood made a book from that. And the whole idea in expanded cinema is behind that idea of technology as conscious and art as consciousness,
Yeah.
unconsciousness. And
Did my interview with Gene Youngblood is so interesting because all these questions at the beginning, he fought the questions and then eventually got into it. And then did you see that Gray Areas series where they interviewed Gene like every Sunday for like 6 weeks in a row
no, I
on
didn't.
on a Zoom? And you can go back online and watch it. And it's
Oh,
funny because Gray Areas eventually hired Andrew McLuhan to do some lectures for him.
yes.
But go back and watch those because it's like Gene
Yeah.
at his pinnacle, really celebrating the 50th year of expanded cinema. So I've got 3 more, Wilson. This has been truly enlightening. I appreciate it. Joseph Boyes said, "Make the secrets productive." Lou Welsh, beat poet, said, "Guard the secrets, constantly reveal them." But it was Thornton Wilder in 1928. He said, "Art is confession. Art is the secret told." But art is not only the desire to tell one's secret, It's the desire to tell it and hide it at the same time. You've laid your cards on the table for over 90 minutes. I'm not insinuating you haven't answered this. What's it really all about for you?
Art is about uh, finding and hiding the secret.
Yeah.
Because the creation process, and that's not only related to art, but when McLuhan thought propaganda as a form of art,
Yeah.
and propaganda is hiding the secret. So I'll show you for 30 seconds this, and you know you will not have it. But here it is. Uh, I think the only difference is that the artist, and here I am uh, thinking filmmakers, song creators, musicians, and so on. Uh, it's to be aware of that potential, of that idea of showing and hiding the secret.
Beautiful. Wilson, what's the healthiest cultural shift you see developing today?
Hmm. Seeing my niece's drawings,
Oh, nice.
and I'll get here the Christmas card she made for me.
Oh my God, is that super?
She is she is 7 years old, and that the fourth page here is hashtag Uncle Love.
Oh, tell her she was on YouTube Live today.
Oh,
they
she has a YouTube channel.
oh yeah,
Uh,
she can put this on it.
yeah,
And look at
she'll link the interview.
yeah, link it. And the beauty is, Wilson, what we've done is live TV. I mean,
Yes.
Marshall would have loved this. This is really live TV. We didn't have to have a studio, you
Yeah.
know. Thank God Clinton is, another great McLuhanite and knows which buttons to push. That's what I love. Okay, Wilson, the last question is what gives you the most optimism?
Oh, besides my niece, uh, the idea that uh, someday we will understand better our purpose here, and those giants like McLuhan, Joyce, and the artists you've mentioned, they are really guides, and it's from them that I have hope, that I bring, that I take hope, and that I create hope for better days. And
Beautiful.
I will not cry.
Oh, Wilson, we'll both cry playing our guitars tonight. But listen, I'll give you two quotes to end out because you really evoked these. Umberto Eco, who who complained about McLuhan and Joyce, but basically stood on their shoulders. He said, "We are dwarfs, but dwarfs who stand on the shoulders of giants. And small though we are, we sometimes manage to see farther on the horizon than they." So that's our hope, is that we can stand on their shoulders and we can see farther. We hope,
Yeah.
we strive for that. And then McLuhan had it, he nailed it. He said, communication of the new is a miracle, but not impossible. It's sure been fun. I hope I can get booked in Brazil. When is the media ecology?
It's in July, I think 10 to 12th of July. Come.
Are you
Th-
booking
things
it? Who's
Things
the
will be
booker?
better.
Who is the booker?
Oh.
Who's booking it? Are you booking it, or is the media ecology?
No, I'll be there.
If you're there with Andrew playing guitars, I sure want to pipe in. That would be fun.
It will be fun. Right now, I think I'm having some problems with the connection. I didn't heard. Uh, are you listening?
I can hear you.
Okay, okay.
We'll
But
close. We'll close out.
media ecology will be in an university here in Rio again. This year was remote, was via Zoom, and next year will be presential, I think, and at the same university. And I don't teach there, but I have many friends. Adriana Braga is a teacher there, and it's a great, uh, lovely creature. And I wish we could see each other and try to come because you've been to Brazil before, Jerry?
I never have, but I sure want to, and we'll be in touch via email on all those details. But
Yes.
what a pleasure, Wilson. That was super fun, and I really loved it. Thank you so much.
I really loved it too. Thank you. Thank you. And
Bye for now.
if life was only like that.
That's it. Yay!